he releases you, and you end up on a reality TV show, which is right up my fucking alley because that's all I do. Uh, so tell me, obviously, about Gigolos. So that was on Cinemax or Showtime? I can't.
Showtime.
Okay.
So what
Tell me how
happened
they
is
bet. What you just got a call? Like, walk me through from the beginning.
from the beginning, I was working for a billionaire named Lee Hamilton Taylor. He lived on West Paces Ferry Road, and anybody who lives in Atlanta, if you live on West Paces Ferry Road, I think the lowest house is about 4 million. And so I worked for him. We met at a gym. He was retired. He owned a rehab company, not like drug rehab, like if a building collapsed and everybody was hurt, he had 200 paper nurses that got doctor's appointments and got people wheelchairs and doctor's offices and surgeries, not hands-on nurses, like paper write-down nurses. And there was $1 billion company, and he was a billionaire, retired at 60. So he loved pro wrestling. So he came into my world, and his problem was he wanted to make pro wrestling, he wanted to make independent pro wrestling professional. And that's not going to happen. And he couldn't accept it. So we tried to make it. We had new top hats, new outfits. We'd show up and our table was the best table. And we did as good as we could making it professional. But then he got fed up with it and got tired of trying to do that. And I was getting tired of the independent thing too. This is about 2014, 15. And I was later than that. No, it wasn't. That's about right, 14 or 15. And so he offered me an idea. He goes, look, why don't you quit wrestling, go to rehab, and get clean, and come back and work for my company? And I said, absolutely, please. He said, I'll pay $100,000 a year. Maybe you can get some incentives and some raises along the way. $100,000 a year, but it's still good money, and I think everybody knows
Absolutely,
that.
yeah.
You're making six figures, bro. You're doing something. You're at least paying the bills for sure. And so I said yes. I go to rehab in a place called I can't remember the name of the rehab, but it was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Fancy one. Limousine picks you up, limousine drops you off, whole 9 yards. And so I get back from that, and when I get back from rehab, um, before I left, we changed my number. I'm quitting wrestling. I don't really announce anything. I just changed my number. He wanted me to lose my number. He wanted to get rid of all the losing part of pro wrestling. We were going to close the door on pro wrestling. And we did so. We closed the door. I go to rehab. I come back, and Lee Hamilton Taylor is a complete drunk.
Oh
I,
shit.
I can't get him to do anything. Well, in 4 days, he's dead. He he falls in his house and bites his tongue. And when I see his tongue, I go, man, your head is connected to your tongue, brother. You got to go to the doctor. And he was one of those guys that would not go to the doctor. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Right.
A few days later, died of a brain hematoma, and I found him dead.
Damn.
Now he's dead. My phone number's been changed. What am I going to do with my life now? Nobody knows how to get in touch with me, all of that. As I'm trying to wrap my head around that, I have a car wreck and roll my Jeep 7 times and knock all my teeth out, lose 50 pounds, re-break my neck on the exact same day,
Oh my
April
God.
22nd, 1998, April 22nd, 2014. I know 2012, I break my neck again. So all of that goes on. And now I got to get back. But this whole time of getting back, what am I getting back to? Nobody's got my number. Nobody knows how to get in touch with me. We are flat broke. I ain't got teeth. I don't have a body. I've lost weight. I'm skinny as a rail, and my teeth are gone. So as I start putting things back together and building myself back up to do something, the Gigolo show contacts me, and it was between my wife and the guy helping me, like my agent at the time was a guy named Kevin Bosta. I can't remember his dang name, man, but he lived in North Georgia there, and his name was Kevin something, and he was God dang, I almost had it. Anyway, him and my wife were talking, and all the works out, and all it was a reality show based around this thing, but nobody ever watched an episode or anything. So I just thought it was another thing I could go kind of work and schmooze myself and look good and pull it off like I've always done. And I found myself in the middle of a 5-on-1 sex thing with this girl, but it's not sex. You just act like you're having sex, but kissing and touching and all that stuff is in play as well.
Right.
And I literally remember after the episode was shot that I couldn't get any blood in my penis, and I told the guy, I said, "Hey man, I'm sorry I couldn't perform." And he goes, "You're not supposed to." And I said, "Well, I didn't know, brother. I'm shit. Nobody, the boys, they're worse than wrestlers. They weren't going to smart me up at all,
Right.
and so that's how it ended. I get 25 grand for that one episode, and it paid the bills, and it got us, it saved our house, and so here we are, hooked into a world of money, and I convinced my wife that I can handle this. Hey, baby, bring me the charger right quick. Bring my charger. Please, my battery's going dead. I'm sorry, my battery's dying. Thank you. And I convinced my wife that I can handle this. I can make the money. Nobody says on these contracts I'm with these women, nobody says you gotta have sex with them. You're just going out with them. I mean, it's a date. Right. There's nothing said, so you get paid up front. I was on this website called Cowboys for Angels. It was the name of the website, and you could rent or hire a gigolo for the night or for the weekend. And I was like 15 grand for the night, $25,000 the weekend, and I was making great money at it. And
did dudes try to book you too? I mean, or was it just
no? It was a straight up deal. The one that I was on, that wasn't even a possibility. Yeah, that wasn't even a possibility. It was like it was straight. It was just a women it was just a women man thing, straight deal. So it was nothing to do with any kind of funny stuff or anything. So it was all straight up, and it was a lot of money to be made. And I mean, out of the gate, I made 25 grand to go to Paris. So it was just like one of those things, what are we doing here? And before we knew it, we were in too deep. I was living with a girl that kind of went psycho on me. I was living with her, and I was married. So I was kind of paying the bills and living two lives kind of. And my addiction got even deeper, of course, because I was kind of depressed. I was depressed about that also. But in the middle of all that, me and my wife got divorced, and then I realized I kind of messed up. So I tried to go back and rekindle things, but it just goes to show you how, don't ever, never say never, man, because I never thought I would have done something like that. But when certain things happen and you start to lose your house, and you're getting paid $25,000 to go to Paris, let me try to figure out how to say no to that.
So what the women that were hiring you, I mean, do you think that, I mean, obviously, bro, you're a good looking dude, you were shredded, you're good at talking, but like, were they hiring Buff Bagwell from TV, or were they hiring Mark?
They were hiring Mark, believe it or not. Yeah, like even my picture on that website, I was totally shaved, no goatee. They were hiring Marcus Alexander Bagwell, the model.
But did any of them
And
ever mention to you like they knew you from wrestling, or did it ever come up, or
have probably every
okay,
other one did, and it just didn't go on for that long until when I met the crazy one. She took me out of it and had a bunch of money, and she wasn't crazy at first, of course, they never are. But she had a bunch of money, and so I was throwing the original plan was just to, you know, try to get some money and then get out of there, and get
right,
back to my wife and my life. And that's what the woman offered me. She offered me money. She didn't care what I was doing with the money. She wanted my time. She got my time and I got my money. And I was throwing the money at Judy, like, here, put this in the bank, put this in the bank. And we're going to get out of it. We're going to get out of it. We're going to get our piece and get out of it. And before I knew it, it was just too deep. I was in too deep. And then it's kind of like starting to drink again. Once you say no to drinking, you think, oh, I just want to drink. And then you're back in for another 5-year run.
so
That's kind of what it was like.
how many years do you think you did that?
It's so weird, but I don't think no more than a year because
Okay,
the crazy girl came along pretty quick,
okay.
and so I bet you I probably did. I probably had 5 or 6 dates.
So then
Paris.
after that, obviously, I mean, I know you had a lot go on in like the last decade of your life with different things, but were you still getting offers even, a couple of years after you had kind of stepped out? I imagine like, bro, even in my social media, I get offers from men and women, and I wasn't nearly ever as famous and as good looking as you. So I mean,
Oh
still,
yeah, I mean, and it
you
was
still
and it
get
was tough. It was tough to turn that down because I was trying to get my name cleaned up and stuff too. But it's that kind of money. You think there's not that many people that have it, but man, there's a lot of women out there that are single that do have money, and they were willing to give it to me. So and again, I was a really nice guy. Wasn't like I was doing anything wrong. They hired me, and I came in. I was a lot of fun, and we had a good time, and so it was a lucrative business. It just kind of got sidetracked by the kind of the nutso one, but that took me off on a 7-year crazy ride that ended with the most miraculous woman I've ever met. Thank God. And she had a crazy ride herself too, but we ended together. So we look at it like everything happens for a reason, and we're glad where we're at.
hell yeah. Well, check this out, man. I'm gonna wrap this up because I see we're a little over on time and I don't want to hold you up, but I am gonna have you back because I feel like we barely got to talk at all, man. And the time just flew by here, but I know you got some other stuff you need to do. I kind of want to finish this off with just by throwing some dates at you. This is kind of a quick thing, and you just kind of tell
Okay.
me if you remember that day, like what was going on in your life. So, the day, when was the day that you actually found out WCW was done and it was being sold to WWE?
I know it was a Monday night nitro, and I know it was me and Luger and Nat, everybody that's always late. So your 18 guys, we're rolling up at Panama City Beach, and
So you
I
found
saw
out
it.
the night of.
Yes, the
Wow.
night up, brother. We look and I see, and keep in mind, I'm in the car with the major talent. So
Right.
I mean, Luger's in my car,
Yeah.
so he knows everything, and he didn't know. And I get out of the car and I go, "What is the WWF truck doing here?" And brother, 8 guys didn't say a word, and we just all separated. I went with Lex, of course, but everybody went to their office person to find out what's going on. Before we could find out what's going on, they go, Shane McMahon's calling for a meeting in this room right here. We all go into this room, and Shane has about a 30-second long meeting. He goes, we own WCW. We're going to hire some wrestlers. We're going to fire some wrestlers. We're going to hire some office staff. We're going to keep some office staff. We're going to hire some referees. We're going to keep some referees. We're going to fire some referees. Good luck. And about half the people went. I looked at Luger. Luger wasn't clapping, so I didn't clap. And and so that was it. We were not on the show. And so I took that as, well, so much for Vince saying my name. No, excuse me. Vince hadn't said my name yet. So
Yeah,
that's
because
the
it was
same
that
night.
night, right?
It
Yeah.
was that night. So I get in my car and Lex Luger, I get in my car, throw 4 somas in my mouth, swallow it with some beer, and I see Luger coming at me. And I go, what's going on? He goes, come on, we're on the show now. And I go, what? So here I am starting to get somered up. But I kick out with some coffee. And I've never seen this. And I don't even know if it's true. But I know that me and Lex shot an interview for the show that night.
Oh
We did
shit.
the pre-tape. I got in my car and very depressingly drove home. On the car ride home, my father calls me and says, where are you at? I go, oh man, I'm heading home. He goes, are you watching? You're not watching the show? I go, no, sir, I'm driving. He goes, well, good news. I go, what? He goes, Vince just said your name. I went on to see it finally and learned that it was 5 guys' names he mentioned.
Yeah.
And from what I could see, I got the second biggest pop.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was very excited about that. And all the boys seemed to tell me, hey, you're good. You're good. But I guess I wasn't.
Yeah, because it was like you and Goldberg and I don't even
Sting.
remember seeing. Yeah, 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 yeah. So okay. Where were you when you found out about Chris Benoit?
Oh, you ready for this one?
Because you live in
Cherokee,
Georgia and he lived in Georgia too, right?
Cherokee County Jail.
No shit.
Absolutely. I was in Cherokee County Jail when I heard about Chris Benoit killing his family, or when I first heard the first news, and I was trying to figure out, what happened, and who killed him, and who murdered his family, and all
How well
that.
did you know Chris? Because I mean, worked with him for a while in WCW.
I knew Chris very well, not like hang out at his house or anything, but
Yeah.
but on the road we always would split cars and went to clubs together. Chris always liked me to slap people. We go to bars and we walk into the bar and we hadn't been there 5 minutes, and Chris would come up and go, slap somebody, Bagwell. I said, Chris, I don't want to slap nobody. I said, but we just got here, man. And so by the end of the night, he would get me to slap somebody, and he loved it. He just loved me slapping somebody.
And that's coming from a man that could throw a slap.
I mean, brother,
Yeah.
I said, Chris, why does that impress you? He goes, it's just something about you throwing a slap the way you do. I really like it. And I'm like, okay, man. So
So
in Germany's where that happened. And he saw me really slap a kid I was mad at in Germany. And for some reason, every time we went out, he wanted me to slap somebody else.
So two questions about that. Number one, why were you in jail?
I was in one of my DUIs,
Okay.
one of my first DUIs.
And two, I mean, I remember like I was still watch. I don't watch wrestling much anymore. It's every once in a while. Like usually I'll watch Mania. I didn't even watch it this time. I'll go back and probably watch Rock's match. But uh, I remember that week they did a tribute show to Benoit because the fact
Yes.
out right. So I mean, with you knowing the boys and you being friends with everybody, what was kind of going on behind the scenes? Well, I guess
Well,
were you in jail for like a while, or did you get bailed out?
I was in jail. I had to do it was a 4-day stint. But I remember being in jail. I didn't get to hear anything really until I got out. But then I heard that Vince made that they thought he got murdered. They dedicated the match. And by the time I got out of jail, that was no longer true. And that they had found out that Chris did it himself. And it was just really hard to swallow, man, because he was a great guy. So I just knew there was going to be a bigger story that came out of that. Where
And do you really think that it was because of steroids?
absolutely not, bro.
Okay.
That roid rage thing has got something with me that bothers me. It's they act like somebody takes steroids and they're going to kill somebody.
Yeah.
It's like anything else. If you're a awful crazy person and you take steroids, it's going to make you a little more of that. But
Right.
it's not going to take somebody and make them a murderer. It just don't do that. And plus that the thing they call steroids back then, now they call PRT.
Right. Yeah.
So, but back then it was steroids. Now it's I take testosterone replacement treatment. You
Right,
know,
right, 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 right.
so it's a joke, man. To me, it's not a. He murdered his family because he's a murderer.
So would you say that that's probably the most shocking thing that you remember ever happening in your career as a wrestler, is hearing about that?
I was getting ready to say without a shadow of a doubt, but I had to be careful. But yeah, no doubt about it. That was that was a lot because we just knew there was going to be a backup story to explain everything. One of the boys, had sex with his wife, or something big was right around the corner, except
And it
nothing really
never,
big.
yeah, it never came.
Nothing came.
Fun fact, I was actually at the live taping of Raw, his last appearance, and I happened to get like second row seats last minute. So if you watch his last match, you can actually see me standing in the audience. And funny enough, when I was outside walking to my car, him and Nancy drove by me in like a rental car. So I always think like that was just like
Wow.
really fucking weird. Okay, so the
Hey,
next one is
let me blow your mind with this one.
sure.
The day in Atlanta that I was released, the last two people I saw was Nancy and Chris.
Wow, man.
If you do your homework, he had a neck brace on, and I couldn't tell you what it's from. But if you do your homework of when that Monday Night Raw in Atlanta, a week after Topeka, no, not Topeka, when I was in Washington, Seattle, and God, I was never going to forget the name of that city. What city was I in that Monday Night Raw? Name some Seattle.
And the last Monday Night Raw you were on?
No, that was Atlanta the week before. Whatever that was. So it was the week before Atlanta. So if you do the math and find out what Monday Night Raw I was on in Atlanta, Georgia, where I got fired, not the one I was not on, the one I got fired in Atlanta, that night, Chris Benoit had a neck brace on and was coming in late. So he must have hurt his neck somewhere around that date, because when I said they were in a white expedition, she was driving, and I was crying because I knew that my release meant you're over.
Yeah.
And Chris goes, "What's going on, man?" I go, "I just got fired, bro." He goes, "What?" I said, "Well, they're calling it released, but I think I just got fired." And he got out and hugged me, and she hugged me, and that was it. And then they both are dead now.
Damn, man, that is weird, bro.
It is.
Okay, where were you at when you found out that Scott and Rick Steiner were opening up a Shoney's restaurant?
Where was I at on that one?
And what did you think about it? Because when I saw that, I was like, what the fuck? That's the last thing I ever expected.
Well, if you knew the area, I live right there at the area. I grew up and lived that area. And I thought it was a great idea because of the city of Woodstock being huge wrestling fans, Shoney's being a good branch at the time. I don't remember where I was at, but I was at his grand opening.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah, you and a bunch of other wrestlers were there.
Yes.
And you and Steiner, like I know you guys were kind of up and down. How are you guys today with each other?
You know, I can tell you what I think. I think he hates my guts, but I couldn't be able to tell you why. I wouldn't be able to tell you remotely what reason he would have to hate me, but I think both of them do, and I don't know why.
Well, I mean, did Rick ever express like deep apology for fucking breaking your neck? I mean,
He did. He
yeah,
did. He came to the hospital, and when I broke my neck, so he was always me and Rick were probably more. We wasn't as tight. We were about the same amount of tight. I mean, the Steiner boys don't like many people at all, and they really took me in. They loved me, man. And Steen couldn't believe it. Like, Steen came over to my house one time, and Scott and Rick were on my back when you had voice machines, voice messages.
yeah.
I like the message machine. Both the Steiner brothers were on my voice machine, and he went, "Well, play that back." And I played it back, and he goes, "Those guys hated your guts." And now they're both calling me to go ride Harleys and stuff. And he's like, You got to be kidding. So I was real tight with both them boys and loved both of them. My mother and Rick were like son and daughter. I mean, son and mother. I mean, she loved Rick Steiner, and it was Rick Steiner's idea to get my mother involved.
Man, I tell you what, it's sad though that you think that, because you and Scott together was some of the best fucking TV, and it's still, the comedy still holds up today. Like if I go back and watch some of the old promos from the NWO days, man, like some of the shit you
Incredible.
did, it was incredible, and it like I said, it's timeless. Where like the humor's not outdated. Like it's hard to go back and watch like 80s WWF when they had like the plumber and the janitor, but the shit you guys did with NWO, man, I feel like that's why you still see so many shirts, and I'm sure at
Yes.
conventions, people, that's what they want to, get you to sign NWO shit. Uh,
Sure.
I mean, that the whole NWO thing to me is like, I don't care what people say. I think it's the biggest thing of wrestling history, and people argue
Yeah.
with me.
There's no doubt about it, man. We knew at the time that and really, to be honest with you, I wanted us to be, one of the biggest things that ever happened in wrestling.
You
And the
were,
truth
yeah,
is, we were the
the
biggest thing.
biggest, right?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
were. There's no doubt about it. We were but we really want. I mean, let me say it that way. I really wanted us to be just one of the biggest things that ever happened with pro wrestling. But we were, up to this date, we are the biggest thing that ever happened.
And who approached you? Like, whose idea was it? Did you go to Eric about, hey, I want to be in the NWO, or whose idea was it?
Salisbury, Maryland, and me and Riggs were getting dressed in our locker room, or getting our stuff laid out or whatever, getting comfortable. And Salisbury, Maryland, and Kevin came into our locker room and he asked me, and I was like, "Are you joking? Why, hell yeah!" And so they told me it was going to take place. That was the night Eric said, 30 days to join the NWO. If you don't join, you're fired. And then here I come down the ramp. So it was that was the first night of me joining the NWO. It was great.
And that was your first heel run too, right?
Yep.
And how did you feel about going from a good guy to a bad guy? I think you really embraced the bad guy. I feel like you are a heel. I mean, you have the
Yeah.
look of a baby face, but I always felt like you really embraced the making guys hate you, because you,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. I do the heel really good. I like doing heel, but after I broke my neck, I mean, I hate to go against it, but I just feel that I feel like they should have made me a baby face when I broke my neck. If they would have, I could have came out of that broken neck as one of the biggest baby faces of all. Um, but when they switched it on them, and I came back as a heel and turned on Rick, it was like it was the kind of heat that you don't really want. I mean, it was like, I had 10,000 letters, brother, with people in the service that would touch my picture before going out to war in the Desert Storm. And then I turned heel on the crowd. And it just, my parents were physically upset that I was going to be, I mean, they were going to call Eric. And I go, guys, please stop. I'm making a bunch of money. Let me
Yeah.
just do what I'm doing. I'm keeping y'all on the payroll either way. Just come on, man. Just, let me do this thing. And a really good heel makes a really good baby face. So let me just do this and do it right. But when I came up with the Buff thing, it was off to the races.
Yeah, because I mean the NWO heels were still cheered like good guys. I mean, if you were pro NWO, I mean it didn't matter. I mean, you guys were just like the cool dudes. I mean, and you said funny shit, and coming from like the that other era of like Ric Flair, Arn Anderson. What was the dude's name that did the fucking Tree of Woe? He was a booker. I always forget his fucking name.
Kevin Sullivan?
Alan Sullivan, yeah, like those dudes, and then you guys are coming and like referencing like hip hop culture and all that shit. I mean dude, that's what blew wrestling up. I mean, I attribute
Sure.
NWO to what started the Monday Night Wars. Like it wasn't
Absolutely.
WWF, it was you
No,
guys.
you're absolutely right.
Absolutely. Okay, so what is your favorite non-buff match? Like, what's a match you ever witnessed being at a pay-per-view or a taping where you were just like, man, these two fucking wrestlers killed it?
Um, Gosh dang, man, that's so many of them, man.
Well, yeah, it's like somebody asking you your favorite movie and you don't want to commit to one. You can name just a couple that you remember.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, like,
Were you there when Mysterio fought Eddie Guerrero at that Halloween Havoc? That's a match of
that's definitely one of them. But some of my favorites, believe it or not, my all-time favorite is Rick Rude.
Rick Rude. Yeah, he was.
That's my favorite. And I remember Sting, Rick Rude matches, and Ricky Steamboat and Rick Rude matches. I think were some of the best.
I'm gonna have to go and check some of those older ones out then. That's actually I'm surprised you said that, but I'm glad you did because it'll give me something to go look up.
Yeah,
Uh,
Rick Rude was one of my favorites.
all right, and the last question for you. Obviously, you are a big time celebrity. You're still a famous dude. I'm gonna give you why I'm asking you this question. I was at a convention like 2 months ago, and I was having a shit fucking time just walking around, and I was bent down under a table looking through some shit to see if I wanted to buy anything, and someone tapped me on my shoulder, and I stood up, and I was like, I'd already taken 10 fucking photos walking around this fucking place, and I wasn't there as a guest. So I just thought it was another fan tap me, and I stood up, and there's a woman standing there, and she's like, hey, my husband's a real big fan of yours, and was wondering if we could get a picture. It was fucking Arn Anderson's wife. And
I love it.
I was like, oh my fucking God, man. Like being from Charlotte, I was like, bro, I'm a fan of yours. Like, and it made my fucking day. So did you ever have a celebrity you looked up to come up and tell you that they were a fan?
No, the thing that's close to that that made me feel great was Billy Gunn. Yeah, um,
Dude,
you know,
he
we
watched
can't.
it. Oh my God, Buff. That's so weird because he's the other wrestler that him and his wife came up to me at a convention and said they were a big fan of mine. And I was like, oh my God. Like I was like so.
She was a big Buff Bagwell fan, and Billy Gunn took the picture, which made me love Billy Gunn more than her. Billy Gunn went click with a camera with me and his wife, and it just made me feel really good that Billy was that cool. And but his wife was a huge Buff fan.
I can't remember his wife's name because she I actually talked to her not that long ago. But
I
he
can't either. Dang it! Now
yeah,
you buried both of us.
yeah, man. But yeah, he is a super nice guy. A lot bigger in person than I thought he would. I mean, that is a
Oh, bro, he
dude.
and wrestling that boy is like wrestling a horse. I mean, a horse. I mean, like a thoroughbred, brother. He is a thoroughbred in that ring. He's fast, he's big, and he's one of the best workers I know.
It's Paula.
Paula.
Paula. Yeah, yeah. That's
There
it.
you go. That's it.
If she happens to see this, Paula's a very lovely woman. But yeah,
Yes, I love her so much. We saw her again just recently at Cody Rhodes's uh, um, QT Marshall has a school in McDonough, Georgia here, and Scotty Riggs wrestled at this little turnbuckle wrestling adventure thing, and she was there, and I got to see her again. Paula's a really sweet lady.
but as far as non-wrestlers, I mean, you did a few movies and stuff. Were you ever out in Hollywood at all, spending any time out there?
No time. A couple of cheesy B films we shot in Shreveport, but I starred in both of them, and then I did a thing in Hollywood with Bryan Cranston on a movie called Terror Track. Um,
I love Bryan
and
Cranston.
I love Bryan Cranston. He was just getting started right here. He wasn't nobody yet. Um, at least I don't think he was. And he was did some King of Queens episodes and stuff, but there hadn't been no his big thing that went on the internet with the drug part of it, the meth.
Yeah, the fucking Breaking Bad or whatever.
Breaking Bad
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
happening or anything. So he really did. He's got a great career, but this was really early on, and I remember I signed an action figure on the set, and Cranston goes, "Who are you?" And I told him, he goes, "I've never heard of you." I said, "I never heard of you, brother." you know, but he laughed. We hit it off, and he's a real. But I did my scene with Bryan Cranston. He hired me to kill this monkey that was in his family because the monkey was nice to everybody but him. So he comes and hires me to kill the monkey. Kills me instead.
Oh shit. All right. Okay. And then the last thing, give me like couple TV shows that you're into watching right now, a couple favorite movies, and a couple favorite bands.
Gladiator is one of my all-time favorite movies of all time. Scarface, of course, God, it's everybody's, but Gladiator, Scarface, um, uh, bands, man. I'm 80s all day long. I can listen to Def Leppard, Loverboy, Bon Jovi. I'm 80s all day long, man.
So like
Bad
80s
Company,
glam rock, heavy metal.
heavy metal, heavy
What's
metal.
the what's the heaviest you get? Like old school Metallica, Megadeth, that type.
I couldn't tell you one song of Megadeth, but Metallica for sure. Inner Sandman and all that. But Metallica's a big. I love them to death. But I'm an '80s boy all day long. And
And then what about what
what?
shows are you currently watching?
Andy Griffith,
Shit.
my
Anything more
all-time
modern?
favorite.
Anything
Andy
more
Griffith
modern?
and King of Queens is two of
Oh,
my
oh my
favorites.
God. I love King of Queens, man. I go to sleep to that show.
I watch it every single night.
It is fucking the best sitcom I think ever made, and I can rewatch it and rewatch it and rewatch it. I mean,
I know every scene. My girl hears me talk about it. I say the scene before it happens, and it drives her crazy. But she loves seeing me enjoy it. But King of Queens is really
fucking
way
hilarious.
up there,
Yeah,
brother.
it is. Yeah. What about any dramatic series that you got into? Game of Thrones, Vikings, and anything?
I didn't. I didn't get into nothing like that. Yellowstone. I tried to get into
Man,
it,
that's a
and
great fucking show. That is a
I
great
I
fucking show.
know it is. It's a fantastic, but I can't. I don't like to watch like episode 4, 5, and 8 and 10, and you don't get. I like to, if I want to. I'd love to like watch it from one and really watch the whole thing once. But I did watch the one where um, with Rocky Sly.
Tulsa King.
Loved it.
That was a fucking great show. Well, that's Taylor Sheridan, man. He is putting out banger after banger. I mean, he did Sicario, Wind River, and then show-wise, Mayor of Kingstown, Yellowstone, Tulsa King. He's responsible for all that. So if you like Tulsa King, you should really check out Mayor of Kingstown. That's really
Somebody else told me that. I'm gonna check that one out because I like
Jeremy Renner. Yeah,
Jeremy Renner. Yeah,
he's
Renner.
fucking great in it. And watch the movie Wind River, man. That's a sleeper that a lot of people skip. They actually got a sequel coming out to it, but Sheridan's not involved. And Jeremy Renner is in that film. Sicario, Wind River, and Hell or High Water is actually a Taylor Sheridan trilogy. Um,
Okay.
so if you like that kind of shit, and Yellowstone is great. I mean, that is Kevin. I'm a huge Kevin Costner mark. I'll watch anything that man does.
One of the best movies of all time is For the Love of the Game.
I love that. Billy, what's his fucking name in that?
Billy Chapel.
Billy Chapel. Man, I fucking love that, man. I don't even like baseball. I know you are a sports guy, but I'm not. But
Let me tell you why I love Kevin Costner. There's 3 or 4 scenes in that tells me he's an athlete.
yeah, well, you can tell he makes a lot of baseball films. I mean, from Field of Dreams and
Yes.
but yeah, for
But
love
in
of the
that, he
game.
makes a couple of major league plays, brother, in that's one camera shot. That's that bunt where he slides off the mound and he's got to throw with his arm hurting. The way he's hurting and everything. I'm a big Kevin Costner mark.
Yeah, man, that's cool as hell. All right, man. Do you have any of your new action figures by you? Just I wanted to show.
Hey, baby, will you bring me an action figure, please?
Just wanted to show real quick. So Bob has a new action figure coming out by who made this? You want to tell us real quick about it?
Yeah, Asylum.
Okay.
And if you
And
want to get one, you can call me. I mean, you can email me at Marcus Buff Bagwell at Gmail, and I'll personalize it and mail it to you.
yeah, I'm
Thank you,
I'm
darling.
ordering a couple from him. And there it is. Oh, it comes with the trench coat.
Top hat too.
Top hat, trench coat. That's cool, man. Yeah. That's really exciting. So nice, nice. And is there yeah, I was gonna ask what else they've got. Vicious and Delicious. Cool. All right, so it's got the Road Warriors and Vicious Delicious on the back.
Yeah.
So do you have a website?
Yes, Marcus Buff Bagwell at gmail.com.
That's your email, okay. But do you have a place they can
Oh,
go? order from?
Yes, it's kind of an old one, but I'm in the process of cleaning it up right now. But it still works great and all that. It's MarcusBuffBagwell.com.
MarcusBuffBagwell.com. And I know you were telling me that Mark has a bunch of merchandise on there, like some top hats and his action figures. I guess what you got some shirts and stuff.
Some shirts and stuff, but some of the 8x10s I don't have anymore, so I'm in the process of kind of cleaning it all up. But I keep in steady contact with it, so it gives you to all my platforms and tells you how to get to my Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. So it's a good one. Oh, and I also got Pillow Buddies.
Oh, that's cool, man. Hell yeah. How much do those go for?
These are 100 signed, and the top hats are 75 signed.
Okay, guys. So
My top hats are getting paid right now. I don't have any of those with me.
they're actually what, airbrushed?
Yeah, I airbrush them.
Oh, okay, cool, man. All right, so guys.
They're the miniature little top hats, but they're still really nice.
All right, so in the description, guys, there'll be a link to Buff's website if you want to order any of this stuff. Do you want me to put your email address in for orders?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll put his email address in the description if you want to get one of the Pillow Buddies or one of these new toys that have come out. Now, you have the toys in stock already, right?
Yes.
Okay, so he has them in stock. And also, guys, I'll try to put a couple of his socials in, but also check out his podcast. That is again on Twitch, or you can find it. I'm gonna link to the YouTube section. Make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications for him so you don't miss any episodes that are coming out. He said next week they're gonna be live at a wrestling performance. And I think you guys said that you had a special guest coming up.
We're doing Scotty Riggs, American Male is going to be the following week.
Scotty Riggs, which is another good story, guys. If you haven't checked out the transformation of Scotty Riggs, that's on, I think, DDP's YouTube right now. Is a really fascinating story as well.
It really is.
Been a fucking pleasure. Like I said, I'm gonna have to have you back on because this time went by so quickly. But man, I appreciate you for being such a cool, down to earth dude, man. And I had a great time with the conversation. And I want to thank you for doing it.
Dude, I love doing this stuff. Let's do it again soon.
Absolutely.